and I will officially get started. Hello, everybody. Let's see. We got, if you haven't put your like a hello or other polite greeting in the chat, please do that. Welcome, Sarita and Colin and Jody and Hanson and Alex and Aiden and Cassidy. Looks like that's who we have so far. Um, I had a few questions recently from some students about are Zoom sessions required? I can only speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for any other teacher. I don't require them only because some students have legitimate conflicts where they're taking a career center class or a math science center class or something, and they may have a conflicting Zoom with that. But having said that, I try to cover things that are going to be relevant, helpful. Usually, I don't take too long. And here's what I do. Why officially I don't give you points for being here. Off the record, which means unofficially, when I do the final grades at the end of the semester, when I had students who I remember, like they come to Zoom, like I remember them multiple times being at Zoom. And I add up all their points and everything, and we're really, really close to that next grade. We're at like 88%, 89%, or 78% or 79% or something where it's real close to going up to the next grade. And of course, I have a little bit of flexibility there. Do I feel they deserve going up to the next grade? So, those that I recognize from coming to the Zoom sessions, I would say to myself, yes, they do. And they put in a little extra effort and made sure that they're trying to be on top of things. So they would get that bump and get up to that A minus or that B minus or whatever they're close to. So yeah, it definitely helps in that sense, and it helps hopefully in other sense too. But without further ado, and I do make recordings, so if somebody can't make it, they can watch the recordings and stuff. So, but honestly, not many do. Okay, I'm going to open up our website here. Now, beside our Zoom thing, I put up here, you should be checking these each day, especially Monday through Friday. I put up here that I posted the assignments for week 3. Don't forget your computer lit intro terms from last week are due Wednesday. Okay. So because I gave you a little extended time, didn't make them due last Friday, doesn't mean you'd forget about them. You should have most of them done now, maybe all of them done. If not, you got to play catch up, but you can sit down one sitting and knock these out. So it's not that hard of a thing to do. So let's click on classwork here. And let's go to week 2 when we had the computer tech intro terms. Okay, just I believe everyone knows what they're doing here. But first of all, there is a tutorial here if you need it on how to do some of those and how to find that the gigahertz graphic is in there. Okay. So I made this a different semester, but not a big deal. It's still helpful. So if you need to, do that, find out where you can find that graphic for the gigahertz. Then let's see here. We go to here, and yours is going to look similar to mine. You may have a different color font, a little different color theme, find a few different pictures, but you're going to do something very similar to this here. And of course, don't forget, make sure all your key terms like this here are all in varying colors. So you can just randomly go through to red, green, blue, purple, whatever, and rotate it around. But it's pretty lame if they're all in the same color. The term doesn't even stick out. Look for graphics similar to what I did here. Now, these here, for the first one, these are 3 different operating systems. That's the software that runs a computer or a smartphone or a tablet. So I got Mac OS for Mac computers, Linux, which you may or may not have ever heard of, and then, of course, Windows, which Windows computers use. CPU, I already talked about that, the main brains of a computer. And this graphic here, how to find this, is in that video. So it's not that hard to find in a Google search. So, and then use that one. Let's see here. Byte, gigabyte, terabyte. Mostly in this day and age, we don't talk about bytes. We talk about terabytes and gigabytes. If you're buying a new computer, very typical, you're going to get probably a terabyte of storage. Okay, that's 1,000 gigabytes. Okay. And if you're then the RAM memory, which is a different type of memory they call it the working memory of the computer, that typically is going to be 8 to 16. Okay, 8 gigs, 16 gigs, somewhere right in there. Okay, we almost never talk about kilobytes, megabytes, or just plain old bytes, but they're all originated here. Now, in the old days, I remember buying my first computer was a Commodore 64 in 1983, and the 64 was a reference to kilobytes. It had 64,000 or 64 kilobytes, which is 64,000 bytes. And at the time, people thought, wow, that's awesome. You can do all kinds of things with that. Now we laugh. That's nothing by today's standards. My first Mac I bought in 1994. That'd be 9 years later, 10 years, 11 years later. That came with 4 megabytes of RAM memory. And then it came with 350 megabytes of storage memory, the hard drive. Then my most recent MacBook Pro I bought a couple years ago, it came with 16 gigabytes because I paid a little extra to get 16 of RAM memory. And it came with 500 gig SSD drive built in. Now that's a laptop, so that's why it wasn't up to a terabyte. But I have external terabytes that I can plug into it for storage. Software is electronic, and it's instructions for programs. You get software for all kinds of things. It could be a program like Microsoft Word or iMovie. It can be an operating system like Windows or Mac OS. It could be a utility that, antivirus or something like that. So there's all different types of software. And if you learn how to code and write software and make software, a lot of big jobs in that area. Okay. And in the old days, we bought a lot of our software on disks, and we'd load the disk to load and update our software. Now, most of it's just downloaded through the web. Hardware is all the physical parts that you buy: the computer, the monitor, the keyboard, the printer, the whatever else that you connect into it. That's all hardware. Yeah, I think you all know a mouse. You use point and click on the screen. 2 different types of drives. I probably talked about this briefly. Traditional hard drives are still in use. They're good. They're cheaper, and they have a spinning disk. SSD drives are the newer ones. They're faster. They're more reliable. They don't have a spinning drive. Everything is solid. That's what everything is mostly going to, but they're a bit more expensive. Just reading online, there's a big shortage of graphic cards out there. That's hurting the computer business because they use a lot of graphic cards. They're kind of like the main processor, but they just run the video graphics and other graphics. And they're especially important for people like me who are video editors, or people who do things like gaming where they need a good graphics card for their high-end graphics that they're enjoying. I think everyone knows what a monitor is. And most use LCD or LED technology. Desktop, that's the background software, whether it's Mac or Windows. You can put your stuff out there. Both Mac and Windows, because Windows copied Mac, started out with the premise that it's using a computer should be like sitting at a desk. You got your files and your folders and the trash can if you're on a Mac. Windows calls it a recycle bin, and whatever else you want to take out. Okay, so that's the desktop. GUI, GUI, graphical user interface, that's the term they use when they design the Mac and the Windows operating systems. The graphics, the things you click, the menus, and all that stuff. I talked about RAM, that's the working memory of a computer. Now, if you go shopping for a computer, it's almost never going to say RAM. It's going to say like SDRAM or DDR or something like that. But you'll see it in the... and that's the memory used to open something up and work on it. It's very important. Active window is a window you're currently clicked in. Dialog box. Now, some of these I know it's a little bit of review. Let's say you want to print. You open it up. Okay, now where do you want to print to? How many pages you want to print? Any other settings that are in there. They give you options. This one, you don't have to find a graphic like this. You can just put in files and folders and go find pictures like this. They're just the file or just the folder and put in. But if you do happen to find one like this, it saves you a little bit of time. And files could be anything from like a JPEG file to a Word document to whatever, video file. And folders is what you store things in. You name it like February 2021 schoolwork or something, and then you can drag your files in there and organize them. A server is just a computer on a network that provides services. There's different types of web servers. There are web servers just for printing. So if 50 students in the building here at school all hit print at the same time to the same printer, a print server will actually get all those requests, put them in line, and then send them off to whatever printer that they need to be sent off to. Web servers host websites, so people can go to websites and click on it. There's servers for files. We have our own servers here at school for your school's server. We call it school server folder. You can store stuff on. So there are different types of servers out there. I think most of you know USB. Traditional USB is you plug in all kinds of stuff, keyboards and mice and whatever you got, external hard drives or video cameras or whatever. And now there's a newer type C drive that's becoming widely used. So be up on which ones you're using. Internet, that's just a global network of networks. That's all it is. A network plugs into a network, plugs into a network. And the reason they work together is because they voluntarily follow different, software and protocols and stuff, they call it, where they make it so email works in every country and the web works in every country and that. But countries can block things or change things. Now, on the internet is the World Wide Web. So technically speaking, the internet and the web are two different things. The web is on the internet, but it's not the internet, okay? And it's made up of websites and web servers and people clicking on and going to a website, web pages. And that's the biggest part of the internet is the web. But the internet was around at least 20 years before the web. ISP, if you have your internet through Comcast, AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, whoever, that's your ISP. And if you're like me, you have more than one. I got one for my phone services and I got one for home computer. But it stands for Internet Service Provider. A network is just connection of computers connected to provide services. And at school here, we have a network and they can control what students can see and they can have email and they can have web services and the video services and connect to the internet and do all kinds of things. Ethernet, the most popular type of cable to plug in. Okay. I'm sure most, if not all of you were aware of that. Browser is the web software that opens up websites and searches what you can use it to search websites and open them and organize them and do all kinds of things with them. And the three big ones is Safari, which is Apple, Google Chrome, and Firefox. But there are some other ones out there. Wi-Fi, and sometimes it's written all these different ways here, is short for wireless fidelity. And it's some standards for wireless local area networks. And currently they're at 802.11ax, which is in version 6. And they're making updates all the time. So they're trying to make Wi-Fi better and faster and more reliable and more secure. Bandwidth is how they measure how much data can go in a certain period of time. So that is your speed, basically. So if you have a company that tells you got 50 megabits of speed for your internet, but you do a speed test, which you can do online, and you end up with like 30, now that could be a fluke because even if they're trying to give you 50 or 100 in some cases, it doesn't mean you always have 50 or always have 100. There's things that could affect that. But you can test it. There go speedtest.com would be one place. And you can see how fast it is. And usually it's going to come in pretty much about the same, at least from my experience. A little dry throat. It's very dry here at school. I think you all know Bluetooth. That's that nice short range. It's different than Wi-Fi, wireless standard that we use for keyboards and speakers and headphones. And I'm a big audio person. I love music, and I was always hesitant to use Bluetooth headphones, thinking you got to have the real wired headphones to listen to good quality audio. And that was true in the early days of Bluetooth. It wasn't very good audio for years. But we're now at the point with Bluetooth 5 that audio is pretty darn good. And I use Bluetooth now all the time on headphones and things. So it's come a long, long way. By the way, a little interesting story. Bluetooth was developed in a company in Sweden, and the name Bluetooth comes from a fictional story, I believe, of a famous Viking who went by the name Bluetooth. Okay. Multimedia, that's just combining any of the above: pictures, text, graphics, audio, video, whatever. So if you make a PowerPoint, you got text, you got graphics, you got photos, you might have sound in there, you might have a video clip in there, you got some animations that you do in there. That would be multimedia. So there's a lot of different types of multimedia out there. Resolution, that's how many pixels there are for the clarity of your image. Now, that could be an image on a screen. That's usually how we refer to it, or if you're shooting video. But it's also used for measuring dots per inch and quality of printers. So there's a couple of ways resolution is used in the computer world, but I include that on here, but I just, like this was original video before high def, and then this was early high def 720. This is better high def 1080. It gives you a little idea what you're getting for your money. DVD. Originally I was going to drop this, but I thought, well, I'll leave it in. There's still stuff going on with DVDs. When they were developed originally, it stands for digital versatile disc. The original ones that were not high def were 4.7 gigs each, and they could store anything. They could store any files you wanted, burn on them, but they became especially known for movies, and Hollywood movies were on a lot of them for a lot of years. Then when they got to the point where they're going to have high def, the high def files were too big for this here. They didn't fit. So they had to go to Blu-ray, and now they can get high def movies on a Blu-ray disc because they hold about 25 times more information. Pixels. We did this in class. We zoomed in on a Photoshop picture and we looked at the pixels. They're all made up of one color each, and they're square. And if you zoom in, you'll see better what they look like. Not all file formats we use are pixel-based, but most are, like JPEG, PNG, GIF, and BMP. There's the JPEG, the popular photography format that we use with almost all of our cameras, and we use JPEGs for other types of files. So know that it's Joint Photographers Expert Group, and it is very popular. I think you're all familiar with smartphones and tablets. There's all kinds of phones out there, basically little computers. The tablets or the iPads, in the case of Apple, are very similar to the phones, except a little bigger. Okay, and not all of them you can make a phone call on either. E-commerce and online shopping getting bigger all the time. Amazon's a big one, eBay, and there's many other companies online. And I think that's here to stay, especially with the pandemic. And last but not least is a blog. A blog is a special type of website in which people go on there and they write about whatever. They pick a topic. It could be about themselves. It could be about a group thing. It could be about, whatever topic you want. You want to write about sports. You want to write about music. You want to write about politics, et cetera, et cetera. You can do any of that. And there are some blogging sites out there like Blogger, Weebly, Tumblr, EduBlogs, et cetera. So you can set up a blog. There's actually, like I said, Blogger is part of Google, but they also have some other ones here. That's it. So that's on the what you need to know this week. Now I'm going to wait for our Zoom tomorrow to go into, we're in week 3 here, to go into, there's a teens and social media, and there is Google Photos assignment coming up, and Google Boys. So if you want to get head start on it today, great. These are all pretty easy to do. I'm not going to use time to talk about them today because I talked about a lot of the terms today. The terms test 2. It's computer lit. I have to give some thought. Yeah, we won't do them test this week. We'll probably do the test next week. So, and I asked you a question about your capabilities to edit video and interest in video and stuff like that. So you can read that over. Let me know if there's questions, and you could fill that out and send in. That's about it. You can get started on any of these here. They're not hard. Teens and social media. I'll talk about some of these more this week. Google Boys, Larry and Sergey. Larry Page grew up in Michigan, East Lansing. Sergey Brin was originally from Russia, but his family moved to the U.S. when he was young, so he grew up in Maryland. And they're the two guys, the brains behind Google's. And we'll talk about Google Photos tomorrow. Okay, so that's where we're at. I'm going to turn this here off. I don't know if you guys have any questions about anything. We'll have a test next week on the terms. And tomorrow I'll talk about some more of those videos. We'll meet same time, same place. And then we'll meet again Thursday, whatever's up by then I still need to talk about or review. And that's about it. If anyone else joined us late, please go into the chat and put in a hello or how are you or whatever. And if you haven't put a greeting in there too, do that. So if you got any questions, just it's informal, just open up, or you can put it in the chat. So take care, Sarita, Colin, Jody, Hanson, Alex, Aiden, Cassidy, and Tyler. Thank you for coming today. Okay, have a good day. I was just looking through here to make sure I wasn't forgetting anything. Take care from the high school. Anytime you got questions, you can email me or text me. Contact info's under classwork near the top. Take care.
So how have you been doing, Mr. Rio?
I've been busy. I've been busy doing lessons. I've been busy doing taxes. Because I have to go tomorrow to meet with somebody to do my taxes, which that means I have to get a lot of receipts together and paperwork, but I'll get my taxes done, so that'll be nice. So I'm looking forward to that. And I watched another episode of The Mandalorian yesterday. I'm still not done with season 2, but I've been watching that. So, but take care. Keep working on your French, Sarita.
I've done with all the stuff that is supposed to be done this week, except for the Google Bros.
Okay. And then Google Photos, if you're not already using it, it's really nice. I don't know if you ever take pictures or anything, but.
I do on my phone a lot.
Well, you can set your phone so it backs up to Google Photos for free.
I did that.
Okay. So you're already into Google Photos. That makes it even easier.
Yeah, I was checking out all the stuff that you could do with their photos today. I'm like, oh.
What kind of phone do you get?
LG Aristo 2 or something like that.
Okay. Does that work good for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sometimes it does not.
Okay.
See that?
Okay, it looks good. Well, also, when you get some downtime, relating to this class, go into your software and try to learn your software better on your phone, Learn about pictures, learn about video, learn about special effects, learn about editing. I'm going to talk a little bit about that tomorrow. Okay, yep, looks good. Looks very nice.
I know some things about phones. I still don't know how to do a screenshot on this phone.
Yep. Well, you can always Google that too, and I'm sure.
I already tried 6 million times, and it comes
6 million times. That's quite amazing.
Wrong phone.
Yep. Okay. Well, I got to get going now, but take care. I appreciate you coming here. We'll be back here same time tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yep. Looks good. Cool symbol. Have a good day.
Have good.
Okay. See ya.
See ya.